Welcome to another episode of the Adultish Podcast. You can like, listen, comment, share, and subscribe to Adultish on most streaming platforms. You can also find Adultish on Twitter at AdultishP0DCAST. Hello, Adultish fans and stans. This is your host, Afiya of the Adultish Podcast and the segment Fifi After Dark, aka FAD. While I do not have a new episode of Adultish or Fad for you at the moment, what I do have for you is some really cool news. So it has come to my attention that Adultish is making waves, so much so that our little podcast has officially broken 10,000 streams and downloads, and that is something that we need to cheer up. Round of applause for that. Right? And now, in addition to the 10,000 streams and plays, we've also found out that we have hit, we are ranking in the top 1,000 podcasts internationally, right? With us actually hitting the top 100 podcasts being listened in Italy, right? Super random, but we're going to take our flowers wherever we get them. And with that being said, I just wanted to take a moment out to really thank the people who are making this happening. And while it starts with our producers in the Digital Discovery Network who are in the behind the scenes cutting and editing our content, making it sound really pretty for you all. And then it continues on with myself and my beautiful co-host, Mr. Vincent Bernard, and all of my guest co-hosts, which included people like Miss Tati Love, Mr. Roblematic, the Moses couple, Tanya St. Medley of Power Move Fitness, with people like who else? With Chels, who started out this podcast with me almost a year and a half ago or so. And having, other members of DDN on here like Mark LeVar, like King, like Jordan LeVar, like having all those folks on here with us while, we do have to thank all of these people who are helping to make the podcast what it is. Nothing, I repeat, nothing would mean nothing. It would mean nothing, and nothing would move forward if it weren't for you all listening. So this round of applause is for you. All of our followers, all of our listeners, all of our subscribers, all the folks who are basically liking, sharing, subscribing to our content, all the folks who are listening at Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Play, SoundCloud, Spreaker, iTunes, or even just the podcast app on your iPhone. You all are making this show hit the numbers that it's hitting and getting the reach that it's getting. And I know my producer came to me and said, you need to talk, always make sure to thank your new followers in each episode, which I will absolutely do. Because I wasn't the numbers person, right? Like I wasn't checking the numbers every week and stuff like that. I'm the talent, if you will. I'm sitting behind the mic, getting my thoughts out, chatting with folks, and really just trying to get to the meat of what it means to be an adult. But with all of that being said, we do it for you all. And because you all are rewarding us with this amazing love and response, I had to make sure that I took time out to spend a few minutes to talk to you all and thank you all for everything that you are doing, and to just ask you all, to beseech you all to continue to do what you are doing. I will give you a little quick story, because Adultish wouldn't be Adultish without me talking about some shit. So when the news that we had hit over 10,000 downloads and plays was sent to me, it was sent to me in a slew of text messages from our EP, King. And it was a slew of GIF messages, like around 7:30 something in the morning. I want to say a couple weeks ago. And yes, I'm now recording this after getting that news a couple weeks ago because it didn't really sink in, right? He told me we had broke this number, and I was like, yeah, that's cool, but you know what? This is just the beginning, right? Like 10,000 to me is like child's play for most people, right? Or the podcast that I follow, right? 10K is like child's play for them, right? So I'm like, yeah, this sounds great, but you know, I'm really waiting for that 20K or that 50K or that like 100K to like pull my shirt up over my head and like do backflips in my apartment. But recently we sat down and he started going over like all the other stats that we've been hitting as a podcast. And when you figure that we are such a small team that we don't really have like much of a social media coordinator to like really promote our stuff like via social media on Facebook and Instagram and stuff like that, and that I handle some of the social media work on our podcast, on our podcast Instagram accounts and Twitter accounts, hence why you know you don't see a lot off and on, you know, you don't see a lot of stuff being posted there. It really calls into attention the fact that if we're not doing all of this promotion, then all of these responses are organic, right? Meaning that it's coming directly from you all, right? From you all listening, from you all caring, from you all saying, you know, I wonder what Afiya or Vincent's got to say this week, or you all, you know, sticking through for at least 30 minutes of our podcast to hear what we're saying, you know, and then making up your mind like, yeah, I'm going to keep listening, or no, you know, fuck this. Or from you all going on YouTube and seeing some of our roundtable, or what we will be rebranding as our square table conversations, considering that it's happening around this actual square table. You know, and it's all about you guys. And so this episode, or this update, really is just to acknowledge that it took me a while to acknowledge this, right? These numbers and the fact that we as a podcast are really affecting people. It took me a moment because again, not to bring it about me, but I'm going to bring it about me for a little bit. As a person growing up feeling very much like she was not heard, you know, or if she was heard, she was gravely misunderstood, and that no one cared, and that no one really cared to listen or cared to find out who she was as a person, you know, and just walk around with their version or idea of who she is. It took a moment for me to kind of digest that, wow, people actually care. And people are actually listening, and it literally took me a moment for that to really sink in. And now that it has sunken in, I decided I'm gonna make sure to sit down behind this microphone and thank you all for really giving me the opportunity to do this. This is something I've always really wanted to do. Again, having a background in entertainment, writing, my words, my thoughts, have always been something that I wanted to put out there. And so to do it in this medium and to see the response that we're getting, again, internationally, is just mind-blowing, to say the least. And it's heartwarming. You know, I know I don't sound like super enthused, and that my voice is, oh my God, like in a super high pitch all over the place. But I think if you guys have listened to this show enough, then you know that that's not how Afiya gets down, right? But I do promise the day that we hit some triple digits, I will do a dance. I will record it. I will do all the screaming and yelling, and all the cheering from my old college days, that you will never, ever, 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 ever see me do one time and post it for like 12 hours and then pull it down. I promise that. And with that being said, I also want to let you all know that we're going to continue to bring this content to you. We're going to continue to have these conversations, either by myself or with my co-hosts or with my guests. And that we are continuing to strive to make this podcast as great and as fun, and as funny and as realistic and as real and as unfiltered as we already do. In the works, we still have a couple guests that we're looking to pin down and finally come aboard and record with us. In addition to that, we're also thinking about doing some live streams so you all can see me sitting behind this microphone on my dining room table, which is no longer used for eating and solely for work. So now I eat at a portable tabletop that I sit in front of my couch. And at some point, I would really love us to do some live events. And there are some folks from the network who are already doing that. And so we're looking to kind of push that. And for adults specifically, or at the very least, I'm already churning and working on it to make sure that my peeps, both just, within the New York City area, can come out and sit for a show, see us chat live, and do. We're still in the process of figuring those things out, but absolutely once it happens, we will let you all know. And like I said, the live streaming episodes, we are in talks about having a few of those before we close out this season of Adultish, which we will be closing out towards the end of the season itself, the season of fall. But we do have a couple great things in store before that happens. So we do just want you all to continue to listen, to like, to share, to continue sharing, and to please subscribe to the podcast. The rankings that we are getting right now are really great, but we can continue to rank and we can continue to do a lot more if we can get a lot more of you all subscribed to the podcast. The more you all subscribe and the more you all listen, the more great and amazing things that we can do. There are a couple other things and ideas that we are throwing around right now, and I don't want to give every single thing away. I've already given away so much in me chatting and my excitement about the progression of this podcast, but just know that we do have you all in mind, and we are looking to make sure that this continues to be a really good experience for you all, a really good listening experience. And again, I am just so grateful that there are so many people out there who are listening and who are here with us. All I ever wanted to do, and all I ever want to do in life is to make relatable content, be it as a writer, as a jewelry designer, or as a podcaster. Again, as a person who's always just felt kind of alone, like an oddball, a black sheep who's been called a black sheep, who's, been called weird and all of the words in her life. Something like this, while I always wanted to do it, I never really thought that people would feel the same, right? You typically feel alone in the world, and I've always felt alone in the world, and hearing this news makes me feel a little less alone, and also lets me know that there are so many of us out there who are still trying to figure out what the fuck it means to adult and what it means to be an adult, and how the process of adulting is still very touch and go, and it's all about us still trying to make up our minds about things and how we live and how we are as individuals, whether it be in our work, in our relationships, with our kids, with our families, with our life, how we carry ourselves, in our fitness, in our mental, in our personal, and our spiritual. And so again, it's just so humbling to know that so many of you out there are just relating to what we're saying and are taking it in with love and respect. And so we love and respect you, and we'll continue to do our best to bring content to you, hopefully every week, provided that our work schedules ease up, which is another work in progress in of itself. As always,